You ever turn the key, put it in drive, and hear a sound like your car's soul just left its body? Not a bang, worse, a shudder, a groan like metal bones grinding in protest, and then nothing. No forward motion. Just you stuck in the middle of a parking lot, wondering how a machine that ran perfectly yesterday could betray you overnight. I've seen it 100 times in my shop. Faces pale, hands shaking, voice cracking over the phone. Tony, it just died. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. It didn't just die. You killed it. Slowly. With kindness. With habits you thought were helping. And if you drive an automatic, and let's be real, most of you do, you might be doing it right now without even realizing it. Now, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to save you. Because after 30 years under hoods, in pits, and elbow deep in transmissions that cost more to fix than some people's monthly rent, I've learned one thing. Automatic transmissions don't fail randomly. They fail predictably. And almost always, the cause traces back to one of a handful of everyday mistakes, things drivers swear by, things they learned from their dads, things they saw on a TikTok that got 2 million likes. But those tips, they're poison. Sweet, well-intentioned poison. And today, I'm naming names. Let's start with the big one, the myth that just won't die no matter how many transmissions it murders. Shift into neutral at red lights to save wear. Sounds smart, right? Let the transmission rest while you wait. I get it. I really do. Back in the 70s and 80s, when transmissions were simpler and less efficient, there was a teeny bit of logic to it. But modern automatics, they're controlled by computers smarter than your GPS. They manage fluid pressure, clutch engagement, and torque converter lockup down to the millisecond. When you're stopped in drive, the torque converter disengages slightly. It's called torque converter stall, and the input shaft spins idle while the output stays still. It's designed for this. It likes this. But when you yank it into neutral, you're forcing the entire hydraulic system to dump pressure, then rebuild it the second you shift back. Every single time. That means more heat, more stress on the solenoids, and more wear on the shift valves. And worst of all, you're preventing the fluid from circulating properly during the stop. Fluid that needs to stay moving to stay cool. I had a school teacher come in last spring. Sweet lady. Drove a 2018 Camry she'd bought new for her retirement commute. She'd been shifting to neutral at every light for 2 years, proud as punch that she was extending her car's life. She even kept a little logbook. At 68,000 miles, her transmission started slipping in third gear. Just a soft hesitation, like it was daydreaming. By the time she got to me, the clutch packs were glazed, the valve body was clogged with burnt sludge, and the rebuild bill? $3,200. She cried in my office, not because of the cost, but because she thought she was doing the right thing. If you've ever done this, drop a comment below. I read every one, and I'll tell you straight, stop. Just leave it and drive. The car knows what to do. And if this tip just saved you from a $3,000 nightmare, hit like. It helps more people see this. And while we're on the subject of neutral, let's talk about coasting. You know the drill. You're flying down a long hill on a back road, foot off the gas, and someone, maybe your uncle, maybe a podcast host, whispers in your ear, throw it in neutral, you'll save gas. Friends, that is 1980s thinking wearing 2025 clothes. It sounds logical. If the engine isn't connected to the wheels, it doesn't have to work as hard, so you burn less fuel. But your car isn't a carbureted pickup from 1982. Modern fuel injection systems, especially on anything made after 2005, are brilliant. When you're coasting in drive with your foot off the accelerator, the engine control unit cuts fuel entirely. Zero. Nada. The wheels keep the engine turning via the drivetrain so it doesn't stall, but it's not burning a single drop of gasoline. Now, shift into neutral, the engine has to idle to stay alive, and idling burns fuel. Plus, you've just disabled engine braking. That means your brakes have to do all the work slowing you down, which makes them overheat, especially on long or steep descents. I've seen rotors warp, pads glaze, even master cylinders fail because someone thought they were being thrifty. Toyota's service manual literally says, do not coast in neutral. It provides no fuel economy benefit and reduces vehicle control. Honda says the same. And the Environmental Protection Agency, they've tested this. They confirm you get worse mileage coasting in neutral. So unless you're trying to roll silently into a bank vault or get flagged by every cop in the county for erratic driving, keep it in drive. Your brakes, your transmission, and your wallet will thank you. Hit like if this just saved you a tow bill and a brake job. Now let's talk about the silent killer, the cold starts. You wake up on a January morning in Chicago, Detroit, Fargo, or Boise, somewhere where the air bites your cheeks just walking to the mailbox. You scrape the ice off your windshield, hop in, fire up the engine, and boom, you're in drive, peeling out like you're late for jury duty. I get it. You're cold, you're in a hurry, maybe the kids are screaming in the back seat, but your transmission fluid at 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the consistency of cold maple syrup, thick, sluggish, barely flowing. It hasn't warmed up, it hasn't thinned out, and when you slam it into gear and demand acceleration, you're asking delicate metal clutches, planetary gear sets, and microscopic hydraulic passages to move through molasses. That's not just hard on the system, it's destructive. Every cold shift like that scrapes microscopic metal shavings into the fluid, which then circulate like sandpaper through the whole unit, wearing down bushings, scoring valves, and clogging filters. I had a guy, Carl, from Warren, bring in his 2012 F-150 every winter for a decade with the same complaint. It shudders when I take off. By year 10, the shutter sounded like the truck was possessed, like something was rattling loose inside hell itself. We pulled the pan, black sludge, metal glitter, the works. His habit? Never letting the truck idle more than 10 seconds before driving. He thought he was warming up the engine, but he was freezing the transmission to death. Let your car idle for 30 to 60 seconds on cold mornings. Not 5 minutes. You're not wasting gas, and you're not idling to warm up the engine. That's a myth for another video. You're giving the transmission fluid time to circulate, thin out, and protect those moving parts. Your transmission will remember that kindness in 10 years when it's still shifting like butter, while your neighbor's is on its second rebuild. And speaking of stress, let's talk about towing. You've got a buddy moving across town, so you hook up his U-Haul. Or maybe you bought a tiny travel trailer, just 2,500 pounds, barely anything. My truck says it can tow 7,000 pounds, you tell yourself. I'm fine. But here's the trap. That number is for ideal conditions. Cool weather, flat terrain, a full transmission cooler, and a driver who monitors fluid temps like a hawk. What most people don't realize is that automatic transmissions generate insane heat under load, more than the engine in some cases, and that heat is the enemy. Even a light trailer on a hot day or a hilly route can spike fluid temps past 250 degrees F, where transmission fluid starts breaking down chemically, losing its lubricity and turning into sludge. Seals harden, clutches slip, solenoids stick. General Motors actually issued a technical service bulletin in 2021 about Silverado and Sierra owners frying their 6L80 and 8L90 transmissions during short trailer pulls under 3,000 pounds because they assumed their factory cooler was enough. It wasn't. The factory cooler is built into the radiator, which means it's only as cool as your engine coolant. And during towing, your engine runs hotter, so your transmission fluid runs hotter. If you tow anything regularly, even once a month, get an auxiliary transmission cooler installed. It's $150, takes an hour, and it drops fluid temps by 30 to 50 degrees. A rebuild is $3,500 and takes a week you don't have. Subscribe so you never learn this lesson the hard way, stranded on the side of I-75 with smoke coming from under your truck. Now let's get into something sneaky. Something that feels responsible, but is actually reckless. Transmission fluid topping off. You check your dipstick, it's a little low, so you grab a bottle of lifetime fluid from AutoZone and pour it in. Just topping it off, you say. Can't hurt. But here's the danger. Overfilling is just as bad as running low. Too much fluid creates pressure where there shouldn't be any. It sloshes around violently inside the pan, whipping into foam, especially at highway speeds. That foam is full of air bubbles, which means the transmission pump can't build consistent hydraulic pressure. Result? Erratic shifts, delayed engagement, and that dreaded slipping feeling going uphill. I had a woman roll in with her 2017 Mazda 6 last fall, frantic. It slips going uphill. Feels like it's going to die. She just had an oil change at a quick lube place, and her mechanic nephew thought he was helping by adding 2 extra quarts just in case. We drained it,
foamy, aerated, almost frothy. Drained, refilled to spec with the correct Mazda M5 fluid, and the car shifted perfectly. Cost her $85. But if she kept driving, that foam would have starved the clutches of oil, they burn, and she'd be looking at a $2,500 rebuild. Always check your dipstick with the engine running and warm on level ground after driving for 10 to 15 minutes. And never, ever guess. Every car has a specific fluid type. Using the wrong one can swell seals or degrade clutches in weeks. If you're not sure, look it up or ask. Your transmission doesn't care how confident you are, it only cares if you're right.
Then there's the parking pawl. Say that 3 times fast. But seriously, this tiny metal tooth inside your transmission is what locks the output shaft when you put the car in park. It's about the size of your pinky nail, and it's not meant to hold the entire weight of your vehicle on a hill. That's what your parking brake is for. Yet I see it every day. People pull into a driveway on even a slight incline, slam it in the park, and walk away. No parking brake engaged. They think P means parked. It doesn't. It means locked. And over time, that little pawl gets stressed, fatigued, and eventually it snaps. I've heard the sound. It's a sickening pop, followed by a low rumble as the car rolls away. One customer lost his Accord off his driveway into a neighbor's fence because of it. Another nearly rolled into a school bus stop. Your parking brake isn't optional. It's your transmission's bodyguard. Engage it before you shift into park. Every single time. It takes 2 seconds, and it could save you from a nightmare or someone else's. If this is news to you, hit like. It means you're not alone, and you're now smarter than 80% of drivers. Finally, and this is the one that breaks my heart, the ignored warning sign. That slight hesitation when you put it in reverse, the soft dump between second and third, the way it feels like it's thinking before it shifts. People tell themselves, oh, that's just how automatics are, or worse, it's fine, it's old. No, it's not. Your transmission is trying to talk to you. That hesitation could be low fluid pressure from a clogged filter or failing pump. That thump, worn clutch pack starting to slip. That delay, a failing pressure control solenoid, often caused by dirty fluid or overheating. These aren't quirks, they're distress signals. And if you ignore them long enough, the whispers become screams, and then silence. I've rebuilt transmissions that could have been saved with a $20 filter change and a fluid flush, if only the owner had listened sooner. One guy waited until his Pathfinder wouldn't move at all. We opened it up. His fluid looked like chocolate milk. Water had gotten in, probably from a cracked radiator. The clutches were mush. Total loss. All because he ignored a funny noise for 6 months. So here's the thing about automatic transmissions. They're marvels of engineering. They got more computing power than the Apollo spacecraft. They shift smoother than a jazz pianist's glide. They're designed to last 200,000 miles if you treat them right. But they're not magic, they're machines. And like any machine, they have limits, needs, and boundaries. Treat them with respect, not fear, and they'll serve you faithfully for decades. The biggest mistake isn't one dramatic error. It's 1,000 small ones repeated daily that add up to disaster. But now you know. You've seen behind the curtain. You know what not to do. And that's power, real power. Because knowledge isn't just about fixing cars. It's about never needing to fix them in the first place. So next time you're behind the wheel, remember, your car isn't just metal and oil. It's a partner. And partners deserve honesty, patience, and a little care before you ask them to carry you another mile. If this saved you from a future breakdown, or if you've already made one of these mistakes and lived to tell the tale, drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your story might save someone else. And if you value honest, no BS car advice that actually keeps you on the road, hit subscribe and tap the bell. Because next week, I'm exposing the dirty secret behind lifetime transmission fluid and why it's the biggest lie the auto industry ever sold you. Spoiler, it's not lifetime. Not even close. Stay safe out there. And for the love of wrenches, stop killing your transmission with kindness.